4 August 2023 liveke njani bahlabezulu igama Ngqobane. Namhlanje sifuna ukukhuluma about the Zimbabwean dollar. We're going to talk about the Zimbabwean dollar. There's a certain evil that I see happening in Zimbabwe, and it is extremely underreported, underappreciated. Yet it is actually the biggest problem that the country has. I've highlighted it a few times on my channel, but nobody picks it up. It's like sometimes I wonder, am I the only person who sees the problems in Zimbabwe? It's concerning our currency. And I would like to pose it to you that in as much as we were against the Robert Mugabe regime, Robert Mugabe himself, the person, the actual bigger enemy of Zimbabwe is the people surrounding the presidency. Whether it's the presidency of Robert Mugabe or the presidency of Idi Mnangagwa, there has been a hijacking of government institutions by people that may not be necessarily ZANU-PF people. Some belong to ZANU-PF, some do not belong to ZANU-PF, but they either are attached to government institutions or the monetary system. Actually, the system that I want to focus on this video is the monetary system, not just the political system. What happens at the Reserve Bank is equally, if not more, important than what happens at Shek House. To understand, our focus has been largely on the politics of ZANU-PF, the Politburo, who's in power, what laws they make. We forget to look at the monetary aspects of our country. What happens at the Reserve Bank and also at the banks that are supervised by the Reserve Bank. You see people who are CEOs at CPZ. Oh my God. Before we go far, I said CEO of CPZ. Who is the former CEO of CPZ? None other than Takure. And he's the richest in the country now. Do you know why? Because something is happening in our banks that people pay very little attention to. Because people don't understand. The Bible says, my people perish because of lack of understanding. Zimbabweans, let me teach you something today. Power is not only in State House. Power is in the Reserve Bank and in the financial system. The bankers or the banksters, Takure, and the like him, are the people that have been bleeding Zimbabwe. And they bled Zimbabwe because, hey, listen to this one, because Robert Mugabe did not understand it. Okay, so I want you to understand that Mugabe did what he did, and these ZANU-PF guys, there is something, and I mean, let me put it this way. Mugabe was corrupt, okay, tick. The ANC is corrupt, tick. Zambia, there has been corruption, tick. Mozambique, there's corruption. Tanzania, DRC, Malawi, all of these countries, there's corruption in their government. Now, how come there was no hyperinflation? Of course, there is suffering in Malawi, in Zambia, in Mozambique, but there's no hyperinflation. Okay, their currencies lose value, but not very fast. The South African rand is 1:18, 19 now, right? It was 1:10 or 12 10 years ago. 20 years ago, it was 1:6. You see, the slow progression is very slow. But how come in Zimbabwe it was fast? Super fast like this, hyperinflation. I will tell you, hyperinflation was not primarily caused by Robert Mugabe or ZANU-PF or even the State House. Though they had a role, or they were also coerced or pushed to exacerbate the situation. But there is a bigger culprit that I want to uncover today. And it is the Reserve Bank and the banking system of Zimbabwe. Another culprit, Thuli Ncube, he was the CEO of, guess what, of Barbican Bank. The guy was talking big English. big English at Barbican Bank there. What happened to Barbican Bank? Woo, imali zabantu zadliwa. And where is he now? He's the finance minister. You see, Takure, CEO of CPZ, where is he now? The biggest gold mafia in Zimbabwe, and with tentacles all over the place in an economy that is being destroyed. That's what I'm going to pursue the devil worshippers who are the bank stars in Zimbabwe. And the reason why they succeeded for so long is because Robert Mugabe didn't understand how they operated. Even today, I believe even Mnangagwa and General Chiwenga do not understand. I am telling you, you see when they call Chiwenga Dome, do you know why? Why they need Chiwenga as vice president? And do you know why they need Emerson Mnangagwa as president? Because both of them do not understand the intricate financial language and schemes that are being perpetrated by the bankers in Zimbabwe. I am telling you, okay, oh God, I don't know how to start. I am telling you, Robert Mugabe, Joseph Msika, Joyce Mjuro, Emerson Mnangagwa, what is his name? Your vice president now, General Chiwenga, all of them have our own game. This is another game on another level that they're not seeing it. And I've been seeing this thing for years. I've been lazily watching it. And like, how come no one in government is aware of this thing? Then I began to realize, very they are not aware of it. But I was listening to Nigel Chanangira. He was speaking about, I spoke to Mugabe about unit trust, or Robert Mugabe didn't know he was interested in knowing. So I was like, so Robert Mugabe didn't understand what unit trusts are, didn't understand about the stock market and the financialization of the economy. Okay. What else did Robert Mugabe not know? Then I'm seeing the things that are happening in the economy through the banks and the Zimbabwean dollar losing value, revaluation, devaluation, hyperinflation. And I mean, like, even if we had sanctions, people, even if there is sanctions do not cause hyperinflation. All right. Sanctions plus corruption in government does not cause hyperinflation. There is sanctions and there's corruption in Russia. However, the Russian ruble is strengthening. All right. There is sanctions and corruption in Venezuela is the worst of them all. But Zimbabwe is become worse than Venezuela. Even though Venezuela is rampantly corrupt. I mean, you can compare with other countries like Lebanon now is in trouble, but their troubles they're not as big as ours. I mean, they've got bigger political problems, but uh, how it reflects on their economy is less than how our economy is crushed. And I will tell you, one of the biggest liars, biggest thieves is the bankers in Zimbabwe. And they are safe because you don't vote for them in the power. You vote for bankers in the power, you don't. And you see, the reason why the bankers are able to do it is because even the bankers in the United States, they are doing the same thing. But in USA, because there are checks and balances, it's difficult for them to go full throttle against the US government. They are able to be checked. In USA, when they made bed housing beds, actually there wasn't bed housing beds, they knew that thing was going to crash. In 2008, they began to bail themselves, the bankers, okay, at the expense of the rest of the United States economy. People lost their houses. They were not bailed to get houses back. No, the bankers were. Okay. So what the Zimbabwean bankers do, because they are too educated, they are PhDs in economics, PhDs in finance, and specializing in financial literature that none of you understand. You see, so they go around the world and check how the economies are run, and then they come to, and instead of using that information to build Zimbabwe, they use it to destroy Zimbabwe. I'm going to skin alive Mthule Ncube for you today, and your guy kuthiwa ngubani lo umngane ka-Edim Nangakho ulo uTagwire namanye ama-bankers eningawaziyo. You will never know them because they're not voted into power. No, 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 no. They might be card carriers and NPF members, but they stay low. They call themselves private sector. Eh? They are the bankers, but they are the ones that have been involved in this hyperinflation. Economist Friedman said there is only one thing that causes inflation in any economy. He says it's government printing. But what Friedman meant by government printing, we can just say printing, increasing the money supply. Who increases the money supply in our country? One is the government, and number two is the banks. So in Zimbabwe, I would like you to I would like to posit this to you that in Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, I believe, was coerced into printing to 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 uh, to fund some government expenses, and that was inflationary. But even still, it does not lead to hyper inflation. Inflation is one thing, excessively high inflation is another thing. Hyperinflation is another devil altogether. For us to get to hyperinflation, things this which means that there is a rampant, unstoppable, unabated, you know, excessive printing, money printing, non-stop. By who? By who? And I would like to investigate that Umgabe did print. It was inflationary. However, it should not have led to hyperinflation. The people that led to hyperinflation were the bankers. Just like this year, okay? This year, let me pause for a while. Okay? This year, when President Emerson Mnangagwa announced the date for the elections, there was prices just went up all of a sudden. The dollar lost value all of a sudden. And Team Mnangagwa was like, yo, people are attacking me. Because we are always against Team Mnangagwa. So anything that he says, we don't agree with him. We say it's you. It is right. He is being attacked. But the people that are attacking it, they are not attacking him because they want him out of power. No. Okay. It's a symptom of the system. The system of the people who are really controlling the Zimbabwean economy, who are really bleeding the Zimbabwean economy. It's not the gold mafia per se as the guys who are involved in mining, though it may overlap. But it is the currency mafia. It is the banking mafia. And these banking mafia do not operate under the auspices of ZANU-PF. They use ZANU-PF. Indeed, some of them perhaps are members of ZANU-PF. Or some of them pretend to be not to be members of ZANU-PF. But they are the banking elite in Zimbabwe who understand the financialization of the market system, the financialization of government institutions, and they are bleeding the government without people like Edim Nangagwa understanding how the game is rigged. That's what it is. So Edim Nangagwa has got his own corruption. Just put it on the side. There is the corruption of ED and Chiwenga is small. Okay, is small. Yesterday we were talking about the Chombo. Their corruption is small. It's equal to other corruption in ANC, corruption all over Africa, all over the whole world. If you do, you're also corrupt. Anyway, all of us are all corrupt. But the one abanga understand you is the one is bankers. And I'm going to expose the bankers today. Let's go here to Wikipedia. It talks about the Zimbabwean dollar. The Zimbabwean dollar was introduced in 1980 directly to replace the rotation dollar, which had been introduced in 1970 at par 1-1, similar to the US dollar. All right. Okay. So, silly was a calling 1:1. All right. I want us to come here. First, redenomination. In October 2005, the current governor of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe at the time, Dr. Gideon Gono, announced that Zimbabwe would have a new currency the following year and new banknotes and coins will be produced. However, in June 2006, it was decreed that for a new currency to be viable, Zimbabwe had to achieve macroeconomic stability. How many grandmothers in the rural areas know what macroeconomic stability is? Why I got grandmother? Lean, I'm a headmaster. Okay. How many of you are headmasters? Raise up your hands. Raise up your hands if you're a headmaster or if you've ever been a headmaster or you're HOD. How many of you headmasters there understand what microeconomic stability means? And if it is said by Gideon Gono, how many of you question it? Because in the corner, you don't question it. It's like Mthweni Ncube saying, zero fire. These guys. It was decreed for a new currency to be viable, Zimbabwe had to first achieve microeconomic stability. Angithi vele wakune-currency already. Angithi, you can achieve macroeconomic stability without introducing a new currency. With that currency intact, all they needed to do was to stop excessive money printing. And that money printing was done by the bankers more than Robert Mugabe. Okay? Because the banking system, through fractional reserve system, they have got the ability to print more money than they actually have in their banks. Okay, there is a law in all banks that governs that. But in Zimbabwe, in a country where lawlessness is what is rampant, and there is no checks and balances, and the reserve banks and their banksters work together to destroy the economy, you will discover that the bankers themselves excessively print money. That is why when Mnangagwa announced for elections, the Zimbabwean dollar lost its value. It is because they got into a trade. They got into a trade. They began to excessively print Zimbabwean dollars and buy US dollars. Okay, they borrowed in Zimbabwean dollars. Let me put it this way: they borrow in Zim dollars from themselves. These are the bankers, people who are in charge of the banking system in Zimbabwe. They borrow billions of Zim dollars. They take those billions and go to the currency market and chase the US dollar. That is why the price of the US dollar in Zimbabwean dollar terms went up dramatically, because they attack it with these billions of Zim dollars or trillions that they have got access to. So imagine you're a CEO of RPZ, of CPZ or Netbank, whatever banks that they have there in Zimbabwe. You borrowed 1 trillion in same dollars. You go and buy US dollars. All right. So as the US dollar loses its, as the same dollar loses its value, after some time, remember it was 1:1,000. After some time, now it's 1:6,000. You see, let me use a smaller figure. You borrow you borrow 1,000 Zimbabwean dollars. Okay, you buy $1 US. After some time, the same dollar loses its value. That $1 US is now worth 6,000 Zimbabwean dollars. So what do you do to pay back $1,000? You take that $1 you sell to the market for 6,000 Zim dollars, and then you go and repay your 1,000. You are left with $5,000 profit. This is done by people that have got access to the banking system, not government money. You can use government money, but government money is very little. The banks have got the ability, it's like to unlimited ability to print a lot of money. So these are the people who do those things are in the banking system. They don't need to be Zanu PF. They don't need to say Bamberina Zanu. No. They just have to be CFA, PhD in finance, work a BSc or CFO of some bank in Zimbabwe. What banks do you have in Zimbabwe? Let us Google. Mina ngiyazi ukuthi kulo NMB, kulo bani kanje futhi omunye. Maningi amabhenki aseZimbabwe. All those banksters, that's what they are doing. And Mnangagwa akawubona umdlalo. He doesn't see it. And Mthuli Ncube sees umdlalo because Mthuli Ncube is one of them. But Mnangagwa is not one of them. He doesn't understand it. Even General Chiwenga does not understand it. anofunga kuti tiri kudya mari kugold vafana vari kudya mari kucurrency uku. They are playing in the currency markets. They are betting. Kahle kahle, what they're doing is they are dangerously betting on the currency market, betting against the currency of Zimbabwe for profit. It's a fast way of siphoning the wealth of all Zimbabweans and accumulating it in the hands of these bankers. So these bankers, as I told you, they are not necessarily ZANU-PF. And ZANU-PF doesn't understand this. Their need for ZANU-PF is for political protection and also to have a political insider who will do certain things on the inside of the politics so that they can be able to make money outside politics, which is in the banking industry. So in politics, they need to have a finance minister like Thuli Ncube, because Thuli Ncube, he understands this game. Trust me, he's one of them. He's a banker. He understands. And John Mankuja understands this game. He's one of them. But Emerson Mnangagwa and General Chiwenga do not understand this game because they are not bankers. Even though they say Emerson Mnangagwa has a degree in economics that he did in 1970, economics changes every year. And he doesn't understand this mdlalo. And they need a president who's not clever. You understand? Abamfuni umuntu bright, because umuntu bright will see what is going on and will stop them. So they want a president who does not, afuna ukusebenzisa igama elithi dom, but they want somebody who is not, whose IQ is not very high. That's what they want. And Mugabe, in as much as people think that Mugabe was educated, he was educated, but you know what? Educated, what does it mean to be educated? To speak big English, to cram the dictionary. Are you educated? Yes, you are, but only on big English, student comprehension English. Robert Mugabe knew every word in the dictionary, but he didn't understand the financialized game. He didn't understand how financialized the politics have become, and how much with his office was being used without him knowing. And we talk, and you don't understand how the blame is always shifted. That is why when we hear people like what you call him, Ulo, this opposition leader, Chamisa, they play a role. People like Chamisa play a role that you people don't understand. Their role of shifting blame, of allocating blame, at the same time not blaming the real culprits, which are the bankers in Zimbabwe. So blaming ZANU-PF is a very convenient thing to do. And yet, yes, ZANU-PF has got problems. Hear me very well. I'm not saying ZANU-PF doesn't have problems. I'm not saying they are okay. No, they've got their problems. But shifting all the blame on ZANU-PF and ED is a strategy for these looters. Because while it's in the meantime they're looting, whether it's Robert Mugabe in power, or it's ED Mnangagwa in power, or it's Chamisa in power, they will still gonna be doing this thing unless the issue is really addressed and uprooted from the roots itself. That it is the bankers, it is the banking industry that is bleeding the Zimbabwean economy by excessively printing money and using it to participate in the currency markets, purposefully devaluing the Zimbabwean dollar, which has got an effect of eroding the wealth of all Zimbabweans and all investors whose assets are denominated in the Zimbabwean dollar. They do that using their access to the banking system because they are CEOs or CFOs or whatever of banks or some other financial institutions that are connected to the broader banking system, and using the government institutions like the Ministry of Finance, even perhaps the president himself. But I would think that without the president knowing, they would lobby him without knowing that he is being lobbied. And I also, if I suspect that even the money printing of Robert Mugabe was encouraged by them, so that when we say excessive money printing causes inflation, then they say, yes, look there, Robert Mugabe was printing money. Yes, Robert Mugabe was printing money. Of course, Robert Mugabe was printing money. But I'm saying they use that to deflate blame. Not all printing money was done by Robert Mugabe. most of it was done by the bankers. But the bankers are going to hide behind Robert Mugabe. And the fact that Zimbabweans hate Robert Mugabe for Muramba Swina, for Kukurahundi, and all of those things. So Robert Mugabe and Iti Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF tend to be the ones who are taking all the blame. Though not all the blame should be apportioned to Robert Mugabe, Chiwenga, Mnangagwa, and ZANU-PF. No, their blame is probably legal. So what these bankers do, they say, oh, okay, so everybody's blaming ZANU-PF. Okay, let us pile our own debt and on ZANU-PF. Okay, perhaps 10% of our problems is ZANU-PF. 90% of our problems is that bankers. So when Zimbabwe see the whole picture of problems, they will all allocate those problems to ZANU-PF. Now, one of the things that you can see, which is not that it's not 100% ZANU-PF. Look at how corrupt the ZANU-PF people have been, as we are told. But make a what you call it to investigate their financial life. You see how much money they have. There's a word I'm looking for. I forget. Just check their lifestyle audit. Do a lifestyle audit of these ZANU-PF people. You discover that they are not as rich as we thought. You'd be like, kanti usuphume kuphawa usubroke. Useva Kasekura is broke now. I heard another guy told me that guy is broke. He can't even run his own campaign. Unemali by broke, I mean people like him. Like if he has got $1 million or whatever, that is broke. Okay. What broke? But what happened? A lot of money was being stolen. It's because lots of this money was stolen by the bankers, not ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF did steal, but very little. Yabona kufana labo tafatswa ntontoni. Yabona nje vele bazinukela ipoverty njengathi. Yabona. Kodwa but kuthiwa ngubani, some of these G40 ministers that were fired, they are broke now. Okay, but they are struggling. Where are the millions that they were stealing? Because there were no millions that they were stealing. They were stealing thousands. Okay, they were stealing little monies here and there. The big stealing was being done by the bankers. And these bankers are very clever. They will apportion all the blame to ZANU-PF. So these bankers are the ones, I believe they are the ones who removed Robert Mugabe from power. Okay, because when Mugabe started talking about 15 billion from the Chiesa, but of course, at another strategy, apportioning the blame to the Chiesa diamonds to the army. Perhaps some people in the army are busy with the diamond mining and stuff like that. And it so that also gives an opportunity for these bankers to say, oh, economic problems, looting in the gold mafia is looting. And of course there is gold mafia looting gold, looting diamonds. But that's not the biggest problem. Before Mpanda Diamonds was there, okay, before it was making money, where was the government making money from anyway? To understand? Even if tomorrow all the diamonds just disappear all of a sudden, it doesn't change much the economic condition of the country. Alright. Even if the gold in the whole country would disappear, it doesn't change much the economic condition of the country. What really changes is inflation, is money printing, excessive money printing by our bankers for the purposes of betting on the currency market. That is why our Zimbabwean dollar has fallen. And you people need to understand that that is one of the biggest problems that we have. So Chamisa comes in. Chamisa probably doesn't even understand it also. So they don't need people who understand it. They want people who don't understand it. Those are the criminals surrounding the president. That must be removed. I wanted to read something here. However, in 2016, 2006, it was decreed that for a new currency to be viable, Zimbabwe had to achieve macroeconomic stability. Instead, in August 2006, the first dollar was redenominated to the second dollar at the rate of 1,000 first dollars to 1 second dollar. At the same time, the currency was devalued against the US dollar from another number, 101,000 first dollars to 101, once revalued to 250 second dollars, a decrease of about 60%. You see, this confiscation, this economic terms, percentages, big numbers, small numbers, it's meant to confuse you, to bombard you with a lot of big information so that you don't even know what's going on. What was going on here, second dollar from 1000 to 1, is to hide the level of the excessive money printing, changing, saying $1,000 is now $1, and that $1 also loses value. Perpetual printing perpetually erodes value. It's a backdoor way of stealing i-value yenu. Nkosi uncede Jehova how to explain this thing in simple terms so that ugogo osebhinga can understand ukuthi imali yakhe empentsheni yantshontshwa njani ngaboGideon Gono naboThole Ncube. UMthole Ncube lo elifuna ukumvotela eCardinal Park, naboGono nama-bankers. Impentsheni zenu, mangikhulume ngesindebele, imali zempentsheni alizibhadala every month. Let's say in rand terms, uphume kumpentsheni ohola 3000 ngenyanga. Impentsheni yakho le yakunika 3000 rand ngenyanga. Sitshayise. Irandi lingaluza ivalue kakhulu angithi. I-3000 rand le after 1 year bese worth 300 rand. After 2 years ayibese 3 rand. Yabuzohola 3 rand ngenyanga. Uyempentsheni yakho na le. Uzibuza ukuthi enye 2997 yengaye kugona. Uyintshontshile through i-banking system yabo, bayaprinta imali for the purposes of ukuluza ivalue. Remember mabe printa imali, ngitshele kahle abantu bakithi, babethatha imali iZimbabwean dollar bentshitshe bayi-US dollar, ivalue iyagcineka ku-US dollar angithi. And the more benza njalo, angithi lakwazi i-supply and demand affects prices. The more bedemanda i-dollar because baprinta ama-dollar, ama-Zimbabwean dollar ngekhoyo, because they are allowed to do so because they are the bankers. Because it's many Zimbabwean dollars, excessively many Zimbabwean dollars chasing few US dollars. The price of the US dollar in Zimbabwe becomes higher in Zimbabwean dollar terms. I mean, so when I'm on ngena ku market i-dollar lisachepile, i-rate sasephansi, the more i-rate isiwe, ama-dollar wakho lawana ama-US dollar wena aloke gaina i-value in terms of Zim dollars. Ngizwe ngithini? So igame yabo le i-Ponzi scheme kahle kahle. It's a pump and dump scheme or Ponzi scheme. The Ponzi is that the one who's going to lose is the one who will buy at the end. I mean at the top. So as long as you ride the wave, as it goes up, all of you are keep on making money. But we see, some of you will say to me, well then it's not just the bankers, anybody can participate in it. Anybody who participates in currency markets, I mean the currency markets are open for everyone. You also can speculate. It's true, I can speculate, but with how much? With $1,000, with $2,000, with $3,000. I'm not going to speculate with $10 trillion that I did not earn, that I just got from my bank because I've got access to the bank. I just typed $10 trillion in my bank account and begin to use that to attack the currency market. There's a difference between pure speculators and these banksters who are obviously doing a crime, because it is a crime. If it's not a crime, it should be made a criminal offense to allocate trillions of Zimbabwean dollars to yourself for the purposes of betting the currency markets, destroying the value of the Zimbabwean dollar with the intention of reselling that currency at another different price so that you can pocket the remainder and carrying on doing it over and over and over again. That erodes the value of everybody else in the country. It has been happening in Zimbabwe from 2002, 3, 4 until now. My guess, okay, it's not a definite thing. My guess is that Robert Mugabe didn't know, or if he knew, he didn't understand. And also, I would also guess that even Edim Nangagwa doesn't fully understand what is going on, the game that is being played here. And these guys are on the margins. They are hiding like this. Like, nobody sees them. It doesn't matter whether it's Robert Mugabe in power, or it's ED in power, or it's Nelson Chamisa in power. You see, now I'm helping people in the Triple C since you believe you're the next government. What will happen if Chamisa becomes president? You are all going to be happy, right? Perhaps he will be well intending and he will do well, but still the economy will be bleeding. And remember, the economy, oh my god, economists, the same people that are bleeding the country, they're also economists. So they will always come up with these big economic terms that will try to explain, no, the economy this, while least hiding exactly what is going on. So if is not addressed, even Chamisa can become president, but they will still be looting on the side. And then you will not see, because this kind of looting, it is looting gold, we know. There is a gold mine. Masoja auya kuzotora mine. We know that. That is looting. Looting from public funds in the hospitals. Auditor General comes and checks and says that this money is not accounted for. That's looting. Money is gone. Looting in the Zimbabwe Revenue Authority is known. Money came. So we do not know what happened to it. Or looting through having Chinese friends who don't pay taxes, get tax cuts. It is known. We can see these ones are not paying taxes. But this looting via the currency market is a very sacred looting, because they don't have to answer to anyone to tell anyone that 10 trillion Zimbabwean dollars has been deposited into Ninki's account, and they've used 100 billion trillion dollars in the past year betting against the Zimbabwean dollar. And then they have a time when they sell those US dollars again when the currency is terrible. And then that is when you see the currency begin to gain some value. You are asking yourself, what economic fundamentals changed in Zimbabwe from May when Emerson Mnangagwa announced the elections? And then in those 4 or 5 weeks, the Zimbabwean dollar went from 800, 1,000, 2,000, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then all of a sudden it went down to 6,000. And then it got to stabilize in there. Tell me, what fundamental story changed? Because that is a pure technical move. Tell me, what is the fundamental reason that led it to go up? Now, number one. Number two, and tell me what is the fundamental reason why the Zimbabwean dollar stabilized. And I will tell you, it is the bank stars who decided that now the Zimbabwean dollar must lose its value. And then when they had gone to 7,000, they decided also, we're now cashing in. When they cashed in, the reason why there was no more demand for the US dollar, okay, kuthiwa ngubani lo, your finance minister, uMthule Ncube, he was happy. Ethi, yeah, we have stabilized. Uliqambela manga. There is no stabilization. They were taking profit, because inkomo nguwe wena Zimbabwe economy, nguwe inkomo ngodliwayo. They are sucking you dry, my nigga. You, Zimbabwe economy. I'm not talking about the Zimbabwe person. Zimbabwe economy. You are the cow that these guys are milking. And then so when they moved to 7,000, it was decided that this is now profit taking time. Because remember, they borrowed 1,000 Zimbabwean dollars. Because imagine that is borrowed. They bought $1. So they all did it, many of them. When the rate went to 1 to 7,000, they're able to take that $1 and get 7,000 Zimbabwean dollars and then pay back the 1,000. But because now it's profit taking time, there's many of them now with US dollars. They're now throwing US dollars back into the market, looking for Zimbabwean dollars. So the demand for US dollars excessively falls, and the demand for Zimbabwean dollars excessively increases. Therefore, that's when you see this artificial strengthening of the Zimbabwean dollar from that rate of 7,000 to somewhere around 6,000. It appears as if the Zimbabwean dollar is strengthening, or the Zimbabwean dollar is stabilizing. But what is happening is just a purely a play by these industry experts who are involved in currency trading. It has got nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the main street economy or things that are happening in the economy of Zimbabwe. Nothing to do with productivity of our farms or mines or a recession in the economy. But however, the fact that these people have got this effect on the economy, because when they are allowed to do those bets, that's why Pantola lose 1 is to 6,000 now. Almost everybody's values lost from 1,000 to 6,000. That is this is a loss of around yeah 70 or 80% loss of your financial value if your money was in US in some dollars. Everyone suffered because a small industry is engaged in nefarious activities that should not be allowed. That is why financial regulation is very essential to any economy. So this is one of the biggest problems in Zimbabwe. And it is a mind boggling because a lot of people don't understand it, don't even talk about it. We're busy concerned. And you see, these guys are very good at deflating. And I do think that they do have political operators and on both sides, in ZANU PF and in Triple C. That's why you always hear me talking about against the Triple C lawyers who are for the gold mafia. It's because I do understand that their political posture is not pro ZANU or pro Triple C. No, no, no. Their posture is pro themselves. Their posture is using these political parties, both ZANU PF and Triple C, as avenues of control, so that they be apportioning blame back and forth between ZANU PF and Triple C and other people and the soldiers or the gold mafia, while the currency mafia is not known, because the currency mafia is made up of PhDs. So their lobbyists are actually people within Triple C, people within ZANU PF, people who push a ZANU PF agenda in ZANU PF, people who push a Triple C agenda in Triple C, which is apportioning blame to ZANU PF. When they're in Triple C, they make sure that they don't apportion blame to the bankers. No, the blame goes to ZANU PF. It's Edim Nangagwa's corruption. Edim Nangagwa's corruption, but they're not talking about their corruption. That is why they're not being caught, because Triple C is lawyers. That's why I always accuse Triple C for being lawyers. But Triple C as an organization is the same thing as an PF. As organizations, they purely exist for the interest of Zimbabweans, and they are both okay. ZANU PF is okay. It's a party. But there are some people that are terrible within ZANU PF. Triple C also is it's a party. It's an opposing political party. And the thousands and millions of Zimbabweans who support Triple C are okay. They have to support somebody. But however, I'm saying that there is a hijack of both ZANU PF and Triple C. So we need to be aware of that hijack and to know who is hijacking them. It is the currency mafia. Okay, now I must differentiate even me, because I usually call them gold mafia, and I give them this one big umbrella term, when in actual fact it's not just one group of people. The gold mafia, those that are interested in the mining industry, they are one group. These ones in the currency market, it's another group. They the groups may highly overlap. Okay, so you find someone who is in the currency mafia, is still in the gold mafia, diamond mafia. They're also in other things because whatever. But I'm just trying to say that it explains the reasons why some of these ZANU PF people who are accused of being corrupt, they are not really that rich. They didn't steal that much, and they're wondering where did the money go? Okay, so I remember hearing that Robert Mugabe was building a house for Bona, that one for 30 million, and they are failing to find 30 million. What is 30 million for people that have been stealing billions? So you're wondering who is stealing the billions. The ones stealing the billions is the ones that you do not know. Okay, and they don't even want to be known because they are on the fringes, the corner there. Probably even blaming ZANU PF. They are usually bankers. People, be very careful, people who are bankers. Be very careful, Zimbabwe, of economists, bankers, educated people who speak big words. They're hiding something. Yabona mina I try to speak simple words. It's not that I do not know all of these big English words. I also know them. I know what they mean. Even the economic terms, I know them. I understand what they mean. But there's no reason for me to come here and impress you with the flowery language that no one understands. So that but ukufunda lokho sho ayikufundile shemos usuzwile isikhiwa sangikhona. Yo, isikhiwa sakhe kuphela, isikhiwa sakhe nje zwi. Ubona ukuthi umuntu ofundileyo. Khona babelintshotsheni izimali ngesikhiwa semalesi. Obadala bami kodwa bakithi oyini kodwa abadala bami bakithi ngiyathanda nje uNkulunkulu makasincede silungise ilizwe hayi madoda abantu abafundileyo eZimbabwe bayathandwa ke abantu abafundileyo bakufundile yabona uJonathan Moyo ngiyakhumbula ngangibukela ku-TV every day. The guy must say some 4 or 5 unnecessary big words that nobody understands. Why are you going to use words that we don't understand? What are you hiding? Be very skeptical of people who use big words unnecessarily. Ask yourself, what are they hiding? Okay? Sengikhuluma kakhulu nami mangivali umsakazo. Okay, umsakazo sawuvala sizakhuluma futhi ngezinye izinto as we research more and come up with more things to say and more flesh and chasing the currency mafia. My name is Ngobane Zondo. Have a great day.